Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Judging Nerd Culture. I'm Ollie.
And I'm Jess.
And today, we have the distinct pleasure of talking about The Batman. We literally just got home from watching it, so it is fresh. And I have mixed feelings. Difficult to parse and understand.
Oh boy, yeah. I yawn. It wasn't a boring movie. That's for sure.
No, but it was long. I didn't realize I think it was like a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, at least 2.5.
Yeah, because it started at 11:30, and by the time we were driving home, it was 2:30.
Yeah. There was a time in the movie where Ollie did express, "Oh, the movie is still going."
Yeah, well, they had caught the bad guy and they did the thing, and like it seemed like it was about to wrap up. Like they had like the ending of 3 different movies, and then it was still.
When the actual ending happened.
Yeah.
But we will talk about the ending in just a minute.
Indeed, I would love to talk about it. But first, I want to talk about Robert Pattinson. From what I understand, actually a good actor.
Oh, yeah. I enjoy Robert Patterson. Robert Patterson. I enjoy him. I think he is a good actor. Twilight was a time in his life where he was getting a foothold in Hollywood, and you can be a great actor and then be on a movie set and directed in very strange ways, which happens in Twilight and in The Batman.
I would like to think. I would hope so.
But he's been in several other fantastic movies.
Yeah, there's the one where he masturbates in a lighthouse.
The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse.
Remember Me is a fantastic movie.
Oh yeah, the 11 twist.
I love that I'm just trying to be serious and just name a few Robert Pattinson movies, and you're like, oh, the one where he masturbates. Oh, 9/11.
This is how I organize them in my brain files. All right.
Anyway, he is a very good actor. And so in this movie, I am going to just make it what I believe and say that he was only acting in such a way because of the direction that the people who created the movie wanted him to.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So you have told me that the director, Matt Reeves, I believe, and Robert Pattinson had publicly, come out as having some issues and they were butting heads. And I can only imagine it has to do with the characterization of Batman, of the Batman, Bruce Wayne, because I feel like Robert Pattinson has done a lot in his career to try and push away the Edward of it all. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he's had multiple interviews where he directly expresses how just really bad Twilight was and how awful his character was, and like how at one point they put a wire in Edward Cullen's coat collar to make it look more like uppity and like disheveled and like cool, I guess. Oh, and how pretentious that was and how awful just everything was. So yeah, like I have fond memories of Twilight. I believe I watched it like 2 times like in a row when I was in middle school because I was like, oh god, look how hot that vampire is. I was 12.
Hey, we've all been there. We've all made that mistake before. Yes. So yeah, from what I understand and what you've explained, he has been trying to, for the entirety of his career, distance himself from that perception of that role. But, and here's where I think he butted head with Matt Reeves, this version of Batman seemed eerily on the same train, on the same track as good old Edward Cullen.
In such the weirdest way.
Yeah, because like he's definitely a different kind of brooding.
Yeah.
But like, oh boy, you could.
Yeah, there was like. I can only imagine Robert Pattinson was on the set of The Batman, and they were telling him to be brooding, to be sadder, be more tired, be more loathing, and he just pulled Edward out. Like, he was like, okay, I got this. I did this for like 4 or 5 other movies. I am now Edward Cullen as the Batman. I mean, it makes sense. Vampire, bat, the Batman.
Yeah, and I think the entirety of it comes down to like the scenes where he says one word, maybe. Yeah. It just stands there with like a little like uncomfortable. I'm grumpy and I'm tired and I hate my life. I don't like myself.
I would say that they're both creepy in different ways too. Like, Edward's creepy because he is a like almost, I don't know, 100-year-old vampire trying to bone this 17-year-old girl, and then just so weird, stalkery, watching her house, climbing in through her window, watching her sleep. Mm-hmm. He literally watched her sleep. It's so weird. But in this one, in the Batman, he just like.
I mean, he also does stalk and watch.
That's true. He does watch and stalk a woman. Very creepy. He does not have to. No. Like, once he knows where she lives and what's going on in her house, he can look away. He watches her change.
Yeah.
Well, but then follows her, which, I mean, it all kind of makes sense because you find out that she's Catwoman and all that. But it's just very,
Yeah, but if he hadn't watched, he wouldn't have known that she wears sensible, seamless panties so as to not be noticeable in the skin-tight leather suit.
I suppose. But
that's
then
critical.
He at one point comes into contact with a child who is now not an orphan, half an orphan. He's almost there. And
half an orphan.
And he's in his bat suit, I guess, and he just stands there staring this little boy down, and not like, angry, just kind of like just watching, just looking at him with like the saddest eyes.
Yeah.
And then the boy looks at him and they have this moment where they're just staring at each other. And I feel like if I was that child, I'd be like, okay, creepy guy, can you kind of like leave now?
Yeah. And he does
it twice. Stares at that little child.
Yeah, in 2 different, like, once as Batman and once as
Bruce Wayne.
And I think if I was that child, I'd be like, I've seen this has happened before. I know who the fuck you are.
Yeah,
because it's exactly the same.
Anyway, I think we're getting a little off subject and ahead of ourselves.
Right. The reason I brought it up is because a lot of what made this Batman kind of annoying, kind of weird, is the fact that he's a brooding teenager. He's Edward Cullen.
Oh, man, yeah.
Whatever age this Batman's supposed to be. I'm assuming, like most Batmen, he's around early 20s when he, starts being Batman, usually. And this is year 2 of his crusade on crime in Gotham. So somewhere in his mid-20s, but he acts like a 19-year-old.
Yes.
At most.
I wouldn't even say 19. I would say, like, 16, 15.
Honestly. So, small spoiler. And honestly, just going from here on, spoilers, whatever. But there's a scene pretty early on in the movie where him and Alfred kind of get at each other. And I actually really love the interactions between Alfred and Batman in this. Mm-hmm. But they get after each other, and Batman, the Batman, literally says, "You're not my dad."
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. At one point, Alfred gives him cuffs. Suit, jacket, link, cufflinks.
Cufflinks.
I got there. Gives him cufflinks, and it has the Wayne symbol, the W, on it. And Bruce is like, "Oh, so you're a Wayne?" I was like, "Get out of here, you stupid, edgy, grumpy old 16-year-old boy. You're going through puberty? Like, it's not a phase. You're not even my dad. Like, come on. What's happening?
Alfred was carrying a cane, and I want him to beat some bat ass with that cane. That boy got no respect.
Yeah, it was so frustrating. It was like watching a little boy disrespect his very, very loving, caring father. And it's like, this is Batman? He's supposed to take care of us all, save the city?
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
But that was, oh man, that was early on. Thank God.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, the movie does get better as it goes on.
Yes, he ages.
Yeah, which I think is the bright side of the writing in this movie. I don't think the direction that it was all in, generally speaking, was great, but I do think the character development writing was spot on. I think it went in the right direction for each of the characters. I gotta say though, early on, Batman real aggressive for seemingly no particular reason a lot of times.
Did you say Patman? Like Patterson?
I might have said
Batman?
I might have said Patman, which I might
Batman.
that might be what I call him from now on. Patterson Batman, Patman. But yeah, the Patman starts off extremely aggressive.
He really is.
And it's like his entire character arc is just him going from I'm here to beat up bad guys to eventually at the very end changes to I'm here to save people.
Yeah.
Which is where you should have started. You're a fucking superhero.
There are a few things that just seem to come out of nowhere. Like that seemed to come out of nowhere for me. The freaking breaking arms and potentially murdering people to the end where he's like, no, we can't kill them or we'll become like them. And it's like, what? You were just doing it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, like, listen, people need to understand concussions can kill you.
Yes, he takes his, laser fingers and zaps a man in the neck for a solid 15 seconds.
Yeah.
That man is dead.
Yeah, he's not having a great day. His heartbeat's gonna be funny after a while.
This is very close to his brain.
Yeah. Gosh. Also, his suit can take bullets, many bullets. Like, he's got armored up everything, and he's just beating people's faces in.
Yeah. And the love connection between Catwoman and Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne I understand because they're the two, the classic Batman Catwoman thing. But I told Ollie in the theater, Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson could have chemistry. It feels like they're both very good actors, and they could have that chemistry in a different movie. Or if, they had more scenes together. But it just seems to happen very quickly between them. And it's like, okay, she kissed him. Why?
Yeah.
Why is he staring at her with lovey eyes? I don't understand.
Yeah, the romance in this one is a little difficult.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I've seen them in interviews. They do actually have a very good chemistry. And the thing that I think really makes the movie's romance not spectacular in any particular way is the fact that the beginning of the movie, just like with how he acts like a weird 17-year-old and how he's aggressive and angsty in a way that's just so childish, he falls in love when he looks at her. He sees her in a room and he's just like, oh, who are you?
Yeah.
Everything about early on in the movie, he's really childish and it's weird.
Yeah. Right when she is introduced, she walks in and, you see him check her out basically because the camera zooms up from her boots all the way up. And then the camera switches to his face and you can see in his face that he's just she's freaking hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like who this?
Yeah, it's not like here's a, waitress or here's somebody else I could talk to. It's look at her, Yeah. It's kind of weird. I understand, if somebody hot walks in the room, you're going to be like, oh, they're freaking hot. But in terms of Batman, it is kind of weird.
Yeah. And like other versions of the Batman Catwoman romance typically goes down the line of like Catwoman trying to seduce him to, do her thing and get away, and like she seduces men to steal from them and escape and do whatever she needs to. And it doesn't work on him, and that gets her kind of off. She's like, oh, all right, this is going to be harder to do, and I'm into that. And meanwhile, Batman's like, all right, she's actually extremely hot, and this is actually working, but I'm not going to let it happen. And that dynamic works really well. And I feel like they could have just continued that. Instead, they tried to do a more like classic...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like they both just kind of fell in love with each other.
Yeah, like they had moments where they were weirdly close to each other, where Batman was trying not to show any feelings, and she was like, this guy, I don't know, he's a hero in some way, and I guess that drew her in, but like I don't know. I don't think it's as accurate a display of their characterization as the other formats in which their relationship has been shown. It's not the worst romance on screen, but it's not great.
I feel like in the beginning, when you are first learning about Selina Kyle and who she is and what she is, she's on the phone with someone and she keeps calling them baby, and she's, very worried about them. Like something like such an amount of worry and care that you would assume she's talking to a child or like a partner. And then she gets home, where Batman follows her and watches her, real creepy like. And
also, before we move on, he was not hidden. She could have looked outside and seen him.
Yeah, he was just standing outside her window with binoculars.
Weird.
He didn't even need binoculars. He was that close. He did not need binoculars. But whatever. She gets home and there is a blonde lady there, Annika, and she's part of the bigger story. But point is, like, immediately I was like, oh, okay, so they're together. Like, these chicks, Catwoman and this Annika woman, are a thing. They care about each other. Catwoman is, like, worried about her. She wants to take care of her, calling her baby. Like, that's, I don't know. I just assume that's kind of gay.
That's a little gay.
It's a little gay. And then later on, Annika goes missing and she starts to have this connection with Batman. And I just think it would have been better if Catwoman had been with her. Like, you find out they were just friends, I guess, like really close friends.
Well,
but
she referred to it as being just a kid, so I think they were sort of like a mom-daughter or older sister.
They were the same age.
Yeah, but she refers to her as just a kid. Like, they're making it seem like she's at least a big sister role model. But they really are the same age.
They were definitely the same age.
She's a grown woman.
The spoiler, the scene where they find Annika's dead body in the back of this dirty cop's car, they swipe right by it. Like, it's not a thing. Like, Annika is the big plot point in Selina Kyle's story. And then when they find her, she just kind of, like, has a shocked look on her face and gets kind of mad and, like, eventually cries about it a little. But, like, if they had been together, if they had made them a couple, and it had shown Selina, like, getting, crazy angry and crazy upset about it, I feel like that would have been more powerful. And then maybe, her and Batman could have somehow, like, he could have consoled her, like, they could have secured a bond through, like, knowing people that they've cared about die.
Yeah, I mean, you could. There's definitely a thing there, like, bonding over that sort of like they kept saying the word vengeance in this movie so much.
So much. She literally called Batman Vengeance.
Which was great. I love that, actually. But yeah, the bonded behind that emotion of, like, wanting to kill the people who hurt you. Wanting to get revenge, all that. Like, that's an emotion that people can really understand and connect to.
Yeah.
And that would have been a fine direction to go. But yeah, they just kind of kill Annika to give Catwoman a reason to move forward with her plot.
Yeah, and a reason for her to be connected to Batman somehow.
Yeah. I mean, she could have she had daddy issues that were connected to the whole plot. It could have just been that. But whatever. It's what it is.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about the failings of this movie, which were mostly just kind of shitty writing.
Yeah, and like weird direction on the director's part.
Yeah. But there are a few things that I do want to highlight as being genuinely very good.
The comedy. I think there were a few times where it was supposed to be kind of funny, like the thumb drive, as just a man's thumb connected to a USB. But then there were times where it wasn't supposed to be funny. I think it was just supposed to be edgy, and I could hardly contain myself.
It is weird. This is weirdly the most edgy Batman movie, and also the fucking funniest one, hands down.
Yeah.
That includes the fucking one with Mr. Freeze Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
I think I said that right. I said something there.
I think there was a couple D's in Arnold Schwarzenegger.
There's no D's in that?
No.
Anyways, yeah, it's just very good, comedy-wise, in a weird way. That if it was intentional, then masterful. Honestly.
Very good, man.
But no, it's, the thing that I did want to actually say that was very good was despite the fact that I think Batman himself was a bit of a miss. He does get better at the end, but also all the other characters I think actually were very well put together. I'm not saying that there were wonderful representations of the characters they were on in the comics, because the Riddler, if you're comparing him to the Riddler in the comics, they fucking missed the mark by a mile.
Yeah, there's a big difference between, like, the book and, like, people's opinions and wants when it comes to a movie adaptation. Like, if it's inspired by, then you're probably not going to get everything that you want if you love the book or the comic. And if it's like based solely on like a certain story or something, then I feel like you should try a little harder to give the fans of the comic or the book a little more fan service, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. This character, this version of the Riddler, seemed like a weird fusion of multiple Batman villains. He really seemed a lot like Hush, which is and a little bit like the Joker, a little bit like the regular Riddler in his own way. But, like, he was so much more trying to be this creepy, almost heroic figure to change the world. Whereas the Riddler in most of his incarnations is just a very classic person who, like, their life leads them towards the route of, like, they know that they're great. They have greatness in their mind. They know they are one of the smartest, one of the best in what they do. But because the way the world works, they never come out on top. And they feel like the world is broken in that way, and they usually try to break the world in response. Which is fine. There's actually a pretty good basic plot line for a villain. But this one takes him in a more, like, he was broken by the world as a young child living in an impoverished orphanage, you know, all this other stuff that made him kind of lose it in his own special way. And I mean, it was cool. I think this Riddler was very interesting. He just definitely wasn't the Riddler. Yeah.
There was a point in the movie where I think it's in a video of the Riddlers that he puts on social media, which, I mean, it's 2022. Like, you gotta throw some stuff in there, make it a little bit more relatable, I suppose.
Yeah, he starts a very YouTuber-y.
Yes, he does. He's like, "Hey guys,
the Riddler here.
Like and subscribe." But he does display the word "hush" on the screen. Mm-hmm. So maybe it is on purpose that he is a little bit of both.
Well, yeah, and even in, like, his design, the wrapped mask, face, and everything. That's very much a Hush thing.
And much more, personally, prefer the Riddler aesthetic than whatever this bondage boy aesthetic was. Like, don't get me wrong, be a bondage boy.
Yeah.
But, like, the Riddler was, I don't know, he had class. He's just so much cooler, I guess.
There's already a bondage boy. It's Black Mask, and he also has his own version of a class.
Yeah. Bondage boy is my superhero name.
Bondage boy. That's a good hero. Yeah, so I despite the fact that it is very different, I do still think he's a very well-made character, because a lot of his stuff was very sympathetic and understandable in the direction that he became. A lot of the other characters I thought were great. I really, really liked Alfred. Alfred's always good.
He's always good.
They always get him right.
I told you, it doesn't matter who plays Alfred. He's always the best.
He really is. And honestly, I forgot his name.
You have the cast pulled up.
I do. You're right. Yeah. Andy Serkis. Woo! I forgot that I was there. But yeah, Andy Serkis, he was playing Alfred and did a very good job. And the thing that I liked most about this version of Alfred was every time the Batman talked shit to him, you could see in his face just like, oh, child, like this disappointment. And it was good. Yeah. He looked and felt like a real Alfred.
He's a good actor.
He is. He's a very good actor. Apparently, he was King Kong.
Yeah, he's a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Just like Alfred. You told me that Alfred was, he had been on stage.
Yep, he used to be a thespian.
He used to be a thespian. He used to be a part of the Queen's Royal Guard.
Yep.
He used to be so many things. A spy, like so many different things.
Master Chef for a little while.
Sometimes you look at the person who's playing Alfred and you go, was that guy all of those things? But Andy Serkis, you look at him and you go, yeah, he probably was all those things.
Could definitely have been many of those things. Alfred was great, and honestly, despite the teenage angst of Batman, their connection had a great chemistry in and of itself. But also the other character that I really, really liked was Gordon. I really liked Commissioner Gordon. He did
a good job.
Yeah, actor did great. The characterization also very good. I said it while we were watching. It almost felt like an origin story for the Commissioner Gordon, like how he became commissioner, which apparently was pretty fucking rough.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So while a lot of the movie was a little weird, the characters were very good.
They were. I do think Robert Pattinson made a fine Batman.
Yeah.
There has been worse, yeah. There's been worse.
So much worse.
And I know a lot of people were like, oh my god, Robert Pattinson is playing Batman? But like, I don't know, people were up in arms when Ben Affleck played Batman, and he was actually a really good old Batman.
Yeah. I don't think he was the Batman they wanted him to be, but he was a great Batman.
Yeah. For the version that he was, yeah. And so Robert Pattinson is actually very good.
Yeah. You know who my least favorite Batman is? Christian Bale. He had the best Batman movie. My least favorite Batman.
Yeah, his movies were the better Batman movies. Oh my god, yes. Come here, my darling. But I'm sorry, I got distracted by Henry. Yeah, his Christian Bale's movies were the best movies, but yeah, Christian Bale himself, I don't know, he made kind of a weird Batman, and maybe that was because he made his voice so gruff like that, and like now everybody, whenever they think of Batman, they always go like, "I'm Batman," because hi, I'm putting him down. You go. I got distracted by our child.
Children. But no, I get what you're saying. Like, something about his Batman was very, I don't know, lackluster.
Yeah, his was also, like, kind of edgy, but not far enough somehow.
Yeah.
Not edgy enough.
I think it's because his character, the Batman character that he played, was very aggressive and violent in a way that Batman is supposed to be, more or less. But like, he had guns on all of his cars. He had all this weird shit, and then also at the same time was like, but I am the hero. I am a paragon of goodness. I will never kill. I will never whatever. It's like, are you sure you didn't kill that guy? I'm pretty sure you killed that guy.
Yeah, you have a lot of guns, guy.
You blew up a car with people in it. I think you killed those people.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the Batman who, I mean, obviously tries not to kill bystanders. But I appreciate the Batman who's like, you know what? You did a bad thing. I'm gonna break your knees.
Yeah, but like, don't pretend you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I actually really like Robert Pattinson's Batman. I did not like his Bruce Wayne. I think.
Yeah, I think that was just the hair.
The hair, the angst, again, he was a teenager apparently or something.
I think the first time you see him without the mask, his hair is sweaty because he's just been fighting. And this was like, it's wet, it's kind of scraggly in his face, and his eye makeup that he wears to make the top half of his face black to match his mask is like streaking down, and I thought, oh, this poor fellow's been crying, he just got broken up with. Like, it was very strange. And then that is also when he had his first interaction with Alfred. Yeah, and I was like, okay, this emo kid is upset. He's crying, his mascara's running, and now his stepdad is coming to talk to him, and he's embarrassed.
It really didn't help that, like, while his mascara looked like it was running, what was going on in the background was he was watching the news talk about his dead parents.
Yeah.
He looks like he was crying, and then stepdad comes in, he's like, oh, you're not my dad!
Yeah. There is one scene that is a little bit disconnected. This is just goes more in the direction of creepy Bruce Wayne, and it's when he's not talking to Selina Kyle at the moment, and he is rewatching this surveillance video that she took for him, but she's looking in the mirror at herself so he can see her, telling him she doesn't want to do this anymore. She's not going to help him do it the way he wants to do it. And he keeps replaying that scene.
Yeah.
And it's very strange. Why don't you just pause it and look at her? You don't have to, like, I don't know, I guess he likes it when she's mean to him. I don't know, probably. Probably.
Yeah, I was when we were watching that, I was wondering, like, what is he looking for? Like, what clue is he trying to find?
He wasn't. He was just wanted to, like, us to listen to her voice.
I guess. And Alfred even calls him out, like, is this a new lady friend? Because otherwise, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, probably not. What are you talking about? What is the direction of your personality? Because it's kind of creepy and kind of a weird guy.
If someone told me he was 17 years old in this movie, supposedly, I would believe them.
Yeah.
I would 100% believe it. And then the rest of the movie makes sense.
Honestly, a 17-year-old Batman origin story sounds great. They always start off with him being middle-aged, or Robert Pattinson in his, like, mid to late 20s. And honestly, Batman figuring out that, like, I'm gonna be Batman today would have been great. And that would have made so much more sense in terms of this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's alright.
It was a good movie, though. I did like Robert Pattinson as Batman, and I think for what he, was told to do and what the script was, he did a very good job. Agreed.
This Batman might be the only version of Batman that actually did detective work. Mm-hmm. Like real detective work.
Yeah, like he would go to the scene and actually, like, figure things out and actually help the cops as well sometimes.
Yeah, and like a lot of the other versions just kind of like looked around and then turned on their magic surveillance technology.
And suddenly they knew.
He was just like, all right, so I know what this thing is. It looks like it matches the groove over there. This blah blah blah. And like it made more sense. He did detective work, and I like that. Mm-hmm. Before he was the knight, Mr. Vengeance. He was the world's greatest detective, and I really want him to pull that back. So that was nice. Now I want to break down our review of it and give it some scores. So the same way we review a new place that we go to eat, I think we should try to review the movie in the same way. Break it down into a couple different pieces. One, just like at any restaurant we go to, what's the vibe? How you feeling? How you feel about the vibe of this movie?
I mean, the city was dirty, dank. Batman was an emo teen. So, like, the vibe, I don't know. I probably wouldn't ever want to go, like, visit Gotham.
You're not supposed to.
So, 5.
That's fair.
I mean, I feel like during the day, you could go to the nice part of Gotham and, like, hey, this ain't so bad, you know?
Yeah.
But there's still probably trash on the ground.
Fair. I'm going to give it about a 6, I think, for vibe. Yeah, because on one hand, Gotham is supposed to be a hellscape of debauchery, and it is. But on the other hand, I've played through all of the Arkham games, and somehow this version of Gotham was dirtier and nastier, even though that version of Gotham is literally a prison. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. There's literally piles of garbage leading up into, like, what is it? They called it the garden.
Right.
The garden, you know. Not a... Excuse me. What do they call it? What is it actually called?
I don't fucking...
Something garden where all, like, the super famous celebrities go to sing. It's not Frederick Meyer Garden.
Madison?
But
Madison Square Garden?
Madison Square Garden. I think that might be it.
Yeah, I know something. But yeah, so I'm going to give it the vibe because, like, it is making you feel what you're supposed to, but also, I don't like it. You get too far in one direction. Also, like, the fact that everything was so damn gross, but the city had the most luscious and extra architecture I've ever seen. Like, you don't need that many arches. Ever.
Allie, will you do me a favor? When you're editing this, and when you say, in one direction, you should pop up One Direction.
Fair.
Because they popped up into my head.
For you, I'll do anything.
Okay.
So yeah. A 6 and a 5 on vibe. And I think that's a fair score.
Yeah.
So when we do restaurants, we usually talk about like how the food is cooked, the taste. But I feel like for a movie, that would translate it into like how good the acting was, I suppose. Like how the physical action of it was. And I'm gonna give it like an 8. I think acting wise, even though I don't love the direction of every character, I think they almost all of them end up somewhere good. The way this movie ended was the highlight of the movie for me. It really set Batman to become an actual hero. It really set up all the other characters to be who they're meant to be, and I genuinely enjoyed it. So and I think they all really got into their roles a lot better at the end. So I'm gonna give it a solid 8.
I think so too. I think an 8. All of the actors are very good at what they do. The man who plays Riddler, he does a fantastic job of being a psychopath.
Yeah, Colin Farrell.
That's Penguin.
Yeah. Oh, right.
I said Riddler.
Right.
But yes, Colin Farrell does a very good job at being Penguin. His New York, I'm sorry, Gotham accent is very good. I'm not from New York, so I don't know. But it sounds very stereotypical.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm walking here. You know, that sort of thing.
It definitely sounded better than that.
Yes. I am Colin Firth level. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah. Farrell. I don't know who Colin Firth is. Maybe I do? I don't know. Anyway, I guess I'm on Colin Firth level because I don't know who that is. Nobody knows.
If he's a real person, I'll pop up a picture somewhere.
Okay. Just pop up the first picture that pops up when you Google search Colin Firth. Anyway, yeah, I would give it an 8. Acting was good for what it was, for the environment they were given.
Right. All right. So last category, I think it should be like an overall enjoyment factor. And for me, I actually enjoy, like I said at the moment we finished watching the movie, I said I really enjoyed this movie, and I don't
know why.
Don't know why, but I did. Like I finished that movie, I was like, yeah, I like this. I want to see more of this Batman.
Oh yeah, I want to see more too. I'm definitely excited to see number 2, and see who that unnamed Arkham prisoner was. Who could it be?
Who could it be, indeed? So I'm giving it an 8.5 because I think overall the movie was genuinely enjoyable. Mm-hmm. I think it's, in terms of setting up characters for a sequel, incredible job. I think the character development for each of the individual characters was spot on, even if their early on characterization wasn't great. But hey, you got to start somewhere bad to get somewhere good, right?
I believe they did start filming and then had to have things pause because of COVID. So, I mean, there's probably some space there between the beginning and the end of the movie where they were like, let's make some tweaks, you know?
You could only hope.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm giving it 8.5 because I genuinely found it to be quite wonderful.
Yeah. I'll give it an 8 as well. Not 8.5, just an 8.
All right.
I would rewatch it in like a couple weeks or something, or like if somebody was like, oh hey, I haven't seen it, you want to watch it? I'd watch it with them. It's not something I'm gonna go out of my way and be like, oh man, I really want to watch the Batman, you know? But it, weirdly enough, gave me a lot of laughs. And
did.
At one point, I was really worried that the people in front of us were gonna get annoyed. But I tried to contain myself. Hi, Bubba. But it gave me a lot of laughs. It had great actors in it. I would recommend it. Mm-hmm. Even, you know, if you're on the edge about it and not sure if you are a fan of Robert Pattinson or not a fan of even Batman, or maybe you're upset about the angle that they took for this movie, you should watch it. It's fun.
Yeah.
There's no harm in trying.
So, overall, same car.
That's the third time this car has gone around our block. Kind of weird.
A little weird. So, taking into account all of our scores across those 3 categories, we have this settled on a 7.25 out of 10 for this movie. But I'm going to give it a plus 0.5 because they set up the Court of Owls. They set up for the Court of Owls, and I will fucking shit my pants if the next movie is actually the Court of Owls. In an interview that I watched while you were in the bathroom, there's Robert Pattinson and the guy who played the Riddler gushing about the fucking Court of Owls and how they think it's like one of the best storylines. And I swear to God,
that would be exciting. You know, there are a lot of aspects of Batman that the other movies have not explored. So yeah, I think, you know, getting deeper into the lore of Batman has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm. And it's so good. The Court of Owls storyline is really quite wonderful, and it's so.
Sorry, Henry bit my toe.
The Court of Owls storyline is so good and so deeply rooted to not only Batman but also Nightwing that I believe it means they gotta bring him in. And if they bring in my boy,
they have to.
That movie's gonna be a 10.
So I have a question, really quick before we end. Nightwing, Dick Grayson. Does he not start off as a child that Bruce Wayne raises? Or is he just a preteen that Bruce Wayne is like, oh yeah, come live with me?
So depending on the version that exists, but typically he
Henry.
Depending on the version that exists that you're reading, you know, it varies. But typically speaking, he is part of a traveling circus that
I know about his parents and everything.
Yeah, and he's raised with them up until like 13 to 16, depending on the version that you read, and then his parents get offed by some mafia guys due to the circus not paying their dues or something, and then Batman sees the kid crying and is like, are I remember my parents dying. I should adopt this random child. And he does. And that's it. That's the extent of that.
Okay. So, Robert Pattinson, his Batman, his Bruce Wayne, do you think his age is appropriate to adopt a Dick Grayson?
I think it's suitable, especially if in the next one he's, it's been another couple years, and he adopts him at like 16 or something. Mm-hmm. Then it's just like an extremely young dad with a child who's
16 and pregnant sort of thing.
Like just early 30-something dad with a 15, 16-year-old kid. It's just like, you're out of your league. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a fine dynamic for them to have.
It'll be interesting who they decide to pick.
Mm-hmm. See, again, I mentioned this too while we were watching the movie. In my mind, I feel like they should have had Robert Pattinson as like an older Nightwing rather than a Batman. But hey, I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
All right.
Finn Wolfhard.
Honestly, as like baby Robin, not the worst.
Stranger Things boy. Yeah. I mean, he's got dark hair, and he kind of does have the physique of someone who would be trapezing.
Yeah, he's got that like real small, lanky kid body, which could easily be turned into like a gymnast style body, or just like they eat rice and chicken. That's all they do.
Anyway,
7.75 overall score for us. We really enjoyed the movie, despite it having many faults. But honestly, those faults, I think, were part of what made it a truly enjoyable watch. So if you get the chance, give it a look-see.
Yeah, I agree. Check it out. It was fun. It'll give you some laughs. And if it doesn't, it's Batman.
It's Batman.
And Zoe Kravitz is hot. So, I mean, go for it, I guess.
Yeah. And this is despite the eye makeup, Robert Pattinson's pretty hot, too.
Yeah. Pretty hot unless he looks like he's been, crying down his mascara. Or when he looks like a school shooter. But no, it's fine.
All right. That's enough of that. Thanks for watching. Just a couple reminders. One, be a good person. So if you're going to watch the movie, support your local cinemas. That's always a good idea to do. Support Ukraine. Things are happening.
Yeah. Also, don't forget to check out...
I can cut. Don't worry. Just stay in the same pose.
I didn't stay in the same pose.
You're right there pointing and...
Terramahia on itch.io.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Itch.io. You can look up Terramahia in the tabletop game section. It'll be right there. The newest version of it will be coming out in about a few weeks. Sometime at the end of this month.
Yes.
There'll be a new version out with the spell crafting section where you can make your own spells.
Yes. We've been playing with some friends. Ollie is DMing. And one of these days pretty soon, I'm going to try my hand at Terramahia DMing. So check it out. It's really fun. Has a lot of really cool art. That's it for us.
Yeah. All right. Have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful gay day.
Have a wonderful gay day.
Have a wonderful gay.